Hello everyone, welcome to my channel Bachelor Nation News fans. In an alternate universe, there's a chance the Bachelor's Carolina Sofia might have been named the next lead of the Bachelorette. The Bachelor season 29 featured Carolina and 24 other women as they vied for Grant Ellis' heart. Unfortunately, Grant sent her home during week 5, leaving Juliana Pasquarosa, Ligia Gare, Zoe Grady, and Dina Lupancu as the final four, with Juliana getting engaged to Grant after he really struggled to make a decision during the finale. Carolina was in the spotlight this season because her behavior and inability to take responsibility led to her being the season's villain. Carolina appeared on the Dear Shandy podcast and divulged all sorts of information about her time on The Bachelor. At one point, she was asked about whether she was under the impression she could be chosen as the Bachelorette star next season. While she was very careful with her words, Carolina admitted it seemed like a possibility. She went on to claim there were some things about that process she couldn't divulge. After news broke that the Bachelorette would be going on hiatus this year, she didn't find out ahead of time, and the announcement came as a complete surprise. What Carolina playing coy over Bachelorette speculation means. It's interesting that Carolina straight up said she couldn't say certain things about the Bachelorette casting process, which seems to indicate that she was likely very much under consideration by producers. If that is the case, then it's confusing that the casting executives didn't tell her that the Bachelorette was being put on a hiatus for 2025. While some Bachelor franchise alums have been floated as being considered, it's possible all of them found out at the same time that fans did. The Bachelor franchise has been in a bit of a free fall this year. ABC decided to park The Bachelorette with the assumption that it will come back in the future. Instead, The Secret Lives of Mormon Wives will air in its time slot. Bachelor in Paradise is returning after its own hiatus. The season of The Bachelor that Carolina just appeared on didn't fare that well in the ratings. This fragile house of cards has started to come tumbling down, with a lot of questions and not many answers about what it all means for the future of the franchise. Our take on Carolina thinking she could have been the next Bachelorette. Since Carolina was considered a villain during The Bachelor season 29, it's fascinating that she felt like she could be the next Bachelorette. Whether the producers told her she was being put under consideration or she just assumed she was a strong contender is not known. However, whenever The Bachelorette does return, it'll be interesting to see if producers cast from The Bachelor season 29 or decide to skip over it entirely. Carolina Quixano always had the kind of face that made producers salivate. Radiant, mysterious, unreadable. But behind the lashes and picture-perfect smiles, Bachelor Nation always wondered, was she playing the game or just winning it without trying? Since her early departure from Grant Ellis' season of The Bachelor, fans and sleuth accounts alike have obsessed over one question. Was Carolina already being primed as the next Bachelorette while she was still vying for Grant's heart? And this week, after months of cryptic posts and a digital disappearance, she's finally broken her silence. The result? A confession no one saw coming. "I wasn't just thinking about being the Bachelorette," she says, seated calmly across from podcast host Krista Lane. "I was asked about it while I was still on the show." Boom! The room drops, Twitter explodes, Reddit melts, but we're getting ahead of ourselves. Her run with Grant, real feelings or strategic chess moves? Carolina's time on The Bachelor was polarizing from the jump. Though she didn't get the first impression rose. That honor went to crowd favorite Ligia Gare. She stood out in ways even Grant Ellis couldn't ignore. Her midnight stroll chats, her refusal to get dragged into house drama, her silky ability to say nothing and everything at once. "She's like, effortlessly in control," Grant said in a voiceover during week 3. "I don't know what it is about her, but I can't stop thinking about her." Yet, despite early sparks, Carolina never got a one-on-one, never got the group date rose, and in week 6, during that now infamous lavender field cocktail party in Tuscany. She was sent home without warning. No villain edit, no tears, just a tight smile and one last look back. What followed, however, was more than just heartbreak. "I knew before he even walked in," Carolina told Krista. "There was a shift, and I had already been approached by someone from production about other opportunities." The secret pitch, mid-season Bachelorette talks. According to Carolina, her time in the Bachelor mansion wasn't just about Grant. It was also, bizarrely, about what might come next. "I didn't go in there thinking about the Bachelorette gig," she insists. "I genuinely liked Grant. I thought he was charming, sincere, a little emotionally reserved, but definitely someone I could see something real with." But that all started to change during week 4, when a senior producer allegedly pulled her aside after a group date. They said, "You have a unique energy. America's going to love you. If this doesn't work out with Grant, would you be open to something bigger?" Carolina reveals, "I didn't say yes, I didn't say no, but I started paying attention." Sources close to production have since confirmed that Carolina was one of 3 women quietly floated as possible Bachelorette leads mid-season. Another insider spilled, "We always keep a list." Carolina checked every box. Marketable, mysterious, just enough heartbreak to make her sympathetic, but not messy. But was Carolina in on it the whole time? Did she know she was never going to end up with Grant, and just played it cool until the moment was right? Juliana versus Carolina. A tale of 2 archetypes. Enter Juliana Pasquarosa, the woman who ultimately won Grant's final rose. Bachelor Nation has never been more divided. On one side, Juliana loyalists call her authentic, stylish, and Grant's perfect match. On the other, critics call her cold, performative, and controlling. Carolina, who's remained mostly silent since the finale aired, dropped a bombshell on the podcast that reignited that fire. "I think Grant made a choice that looked good on paper," she said, "but I also think he knew what he was giving up when he sent me home. He knew I had options. He knew America was watching." The subtext? That Juliana may have won the show, but Carolina was already stepping into a role that made roses look small-time. She gave Bachelor Nation something to root against, Carolina added with a knowing smile. And sometimes, that's the best thing you can have when you're the next lead. Yikes! The DM leak. Was Grant trying to rekindle? 2 weeks ago, Carolina's Instagram account quietly liked, and then unliked, a meme that said, "Your ex sees you glowing and suddenly remembers your number." Coincidence? Maybe. But then came the anonymous DM leak. A Redditor claiming to be a friend of a former production assistant posted screenshots showing someone with Grant Ellis initials reaching out to Carolina via DM after the finale aired. "Just saw the reunion episode," the message read. "You looked incredible. Can we talk?" Carolina wouldn't confirm if it was real, but she didn't deny it either. "I'll say this," she told Krista. "Men like Grant always circle back, especially when the cameras are gone and real life starts feeling a little too real." Bachelor Nation reacts. She's playing chess while they play checkers. As clips from Carolina's interview ricocheted across the internet, responses poured in. Former Bachelor contestants, franchise alums, even reality TV bloggers weighed in. Here's a taste. Katie Thurston. Carolina being offered Bachelorette mid-season while still competing is unhinged, but honestly, makes sense. She's got it. Nick Viall. She just flipped the script. This girl didn't just audition for love. She auditioned for power, and she got it. Bachelor fan account at Bachelorette Room. She played the long game. She might have lost Grant, but she gained everything. We're ready. Even the official Bachelor Nation account couldn't help but fan the flames, posting a cryptic reel, a rose with the caption, "Some flowers just bloom later." Fans? Eating it up. So, is she the next Bachelorette? Carolina's answer was maddeningly vague. and chillingly deliberate. When asked point-blank if she was the next Bachelorette, she paused, smiled, and said, "I think the most interesting stories are the ones that haven't been told yet, and I have so much more to tell." In other words, she's not saying yes, but she's definitely not saying no. Insiders now report that ABC has been in advanced talks with Carolina since late January. One source hinted that contract negotiations have already begun, with filming set to begin in late spring. They want her bad, the insider revealed, especially after the fan response this week. It's a done deal unless she walks. So what's holding her back? Carolina doesn't want to be just another lead, the insider continued. She wants creative control. She wants to redefine what a Bachelorette season looks like. If they let her do that, it's game on. The women who almost got the role. According to franchise gossip, Carolina wasn't the only one being considered. 2 other names were reportedly in the mix. Licia Gare, the fan favorite runner-up with a heart of gold, who many believed deserved a redemption arc after Grant blindsided her. Dina Lupanko, the chaotic wildcard who, despite being a villain, gained a huge online following and shockingly deep interviews during the Women Tell All. But in the end, Carolina had the X factor and the edit to match. "She stayed just long enough to make you want more," said another source. And now everyone's asking the same question. What would her season look like? A season like no other. If Carolina accepts the gig, sources say her season could look wildly different. "She's pitching international travel from the jump," says one producer. "She wants to start in Spain. She wants no cocktail parties, no group dates. She wants it to feel cinematic, like real dating, not high school with roses." Carolina has also reportedly asked for a say in casting, and may even bring back 1 or 2 guys from Grant's season who deserved better. She doesn't want 30 frat bros, the source says. She wants men. Think late 20s, early 30s, emotionally intelligent, global. Like therapist energy meets hot tech CEO. One name floating around. A certain ex from her pre-Bachelor days who's apparently back in the picture. She wants him on night 1, a source spilled. And if he says yes, all bets are off. The final word, for now. So, was Carolina always gunning for the lead? Did she fall for Grant and get blindsided, or did she sidestep the drama and rise above it? The answer might be both. In the end, Carolina might be exactly the kind of lead Bachelor Nation needs right now. Smart, cool, calculated, but still romantic. Capable of calling out red flags and handing out roses. And maybe that's the twist we didn't see coming. Because sometimes the girl who quietly walks away comes back in stilettos, holding the biggest rose of all. Stay tuned, Bachelor Nation. Carolina Quixano might be handing out the roses next, and this time, she's the one making the rules.